what distinguishes the Russian economy from other communist economies is that Russia is dependent on resource exports. Okay, Russia is dependent on oil and gas exports. Oil, number 2 exporter. Natural gas, number 1 exporter in the world. So their revenue depends on these exports of these raw materials. That's what distinguishes Russia from other economies. The way it distinguishes Russia from other economies is that throughout the 1990s, right, Russia suffered this inflation problem, budget deficit problem, depression problem, shrinking GDP problems like other economies, okay? Although Russia was a little bit better than others, right? But the way Russia recovered is amazing. The Russia recovered. Since when Russia recovered? 1999. Russia began to recover very quickly. Okay? Since 1999. What happened in 1999? Oil prices began to rise since 1999. Oil prices began to rise sharply. Right? Then, at the same time, coincidentally, 1999, oil prices began to rise. Who came in as a leader? Putin came in as a leader. Okay? The old Russian leader, ailing Russian leader, disappeared. Then Putin took over. Okay? Oil prices at the same time was rising. So everything was perfect for Russia. Okay? So Russia recovered quickly from economic depression and recovered power, political power. Okay, since then. So throughout the 2000s, okay, from 2000, 2010, oil prices were high. Okay, high enough to sustain the power of Russia. Okay, so Russia enjoyed power, great power status. Economy was good. Okay, Putin was controlling the whole country. Okay, so internal political problems were controlled. Okay, which was one of the problems facing Russia in the 1990s. Political conflicts resolved. Okay, economic prosperity, political stability. Downside to dependence on raw materials exports is that when time's good, your economy is good, politics is good. But when time's bad, okay, things began to change quickly. That's the problem. That's downside to these kinds of, energy-dependent countries. That began to happen after 2011. Okay, Putin began to lose political influence. Economies began to have suffer some problems. The reason? What's the reason? After 2011, the discovery of unconventional energy, including shale gas. Okay? So the challenge of shale gas posed by America and Canada, okay, dramatically shifted the status of Russia. So currently, Russia is suffering again problems, economic problems, political problems. The president of Russia will be here, I think, today. He's arriving today, leaving tomorrow. Have a summit meeting between President Park and Putin. Just one day stay. the stopover from Vietnam, have a meeting, short meeting with President Park, and leaves for Moscow again. So he'll be here again. So that's Russia. Okay, that's Russia. So currently, some problems. Now, position of Asian economies. Japan, Asian economies, you name Japan, Korea, newly industrializing economies in Asia, right? Korea, Taiwan, right? Malaysia, Singapore, this country, newly industrializing economies. What are their strengths? The strengths of their economies, human resources, okay, no natural resources, okay, but a lot of talented people. We rely on people, not on resources, right? We rely on people's talent, okay, and technology. And we export, right? That's our strength, exports to major markets, the US and Western Europe. That's how we prosper. That's how our economy, including Japan, Korea, right? 70s, 80s, right? But that's how we became richer. But this textbook, these successes, however, masked serious problems. Okay, these successes mask serious problems. What problems? This rapid economic growth of the 70s and 80s drove prices of stock prices, and real estate prices to unrealistic levels. Okay, unrealistic levels. So stock market bubble, real estate market bubble. Waiting to be popped up, right, in the 1990s. And banks had problems, okay? Banks were left with a lot of bad loans, okay? Banks had bad loans. And political cronyism. Okay, our political system is not transparent. Okay, political cronyism. Untransparent political system. And corruption. Okay, so all these combine to lead to Asian financial crisis, 1997. Okay, Asian financial crisis. So what happened there at that time, the Asian financial crisis, was that currency speculators, we discussed this, right? Why currencies, go up and down. Currency speculators, they sold off the currencies of some weak countries' currencies in this region, including Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia. Okay? Because these economies were growing so quickly, right? So quickly. They absorbed a lot of foreign investment. Okay? But when there occurred a small sign of going something wrong in these economies, what happens is speculators, because they use hot money, they began to sell their currencies overnight, right? Then your currencies plummet. That's what happened at the time in these economies first, in Southeast Asian economies first, and then spilled over to other economies, neighboring economies, including Korea. So we recovered since then, right? But we are still struggling some inefficiencies of our economies, right? Which is not discussed here. Let's shift to multinational corporations. Okay. Now, about multinational corporations, these international economic transactions are carried out some private firms, individuals, right? But most important among these are multinational corporations, MNCs. Okay? Then definition. What's the definition of MNC? Here is the definition of MNC. This is the definition. A company based in one state with affiliated branches of subsidiaries operating in other states. Okay? When a certain company has this character, that's MNC. Okay? Different branches, subsidiaries in other countries. Okay? Separate from home headquarters. Okay? Separate from home headquarters, if you have branches and affiliations in other states, that constitutes a multinational corporation. That's what MNC means. There are several types of MNCs. There are several types. There are three types. Industrial corporations, industrial MNCs, okay? Industrial MNCs, which are engaged in producing manufacturing goods, right? Which is very familiar to us. There are many companies like this, right? Industrial MNCs. Usually they have factories, right? Factories. And automobile industry, or oil and gas companies, or electronics companies. These are sort of examples of industrial MNCs. Okay? Automobile companies, oil and gas companies, and electronics companies. These are industrial corporations. The largest MNCs, they are the largest ones. These are the largest ones. Right? These are the largest ones. Industrial MNCs are the larger ones. Okay? In terms of origins, which country do they belong to? Do they belong to developing countries or Western, like a G6 or G7, G8 countries? They belong mostly to G8, highly industrialized countries. They're usually based in G8, okay, G8 states. This is interesting. This goes against our common sense. These larger industrial types of MNCs, their headquarters, right? Their headquarters, right? We can guess maybe in one of G8 countries, right? But the question is, outside their home territories, where would they invest? Or where would they open up their branches and subsidiaries, right? And you might wonder, you might guess that they might open their subsidiaries maybe in less developing countries, so that FDI, the direction of FDI moves from rich countries, right, from one of these G8 countries to South developing countries. But if you look at this, which is not. The headquarters are in G8 states and also subsidiaries, in many cases, also in G8 countries. Okay, this goes against our common sense. In other words, FDI, the movement of FDI is not from north to south, it's from north to north. Okay? This is what this is important. Then second, financial corporations. There are financial types of MNCs. The most important being banks, right? Banks and financial corporations. We have many MNCs like this here in Seoul also. HSBC, right? Standard Chartered, Citibank, right? There are many MNCs. So these are financial corporations. And thirdly, service corporations. There are service types of MNCs. Examples: McDonald's food chain, fast food chains, right? Or other brands also. Okay, and not in Korea, but American telephone and telegraph company, AT&T. These are service companies. And many other insurance, right, and law firms. These are all service types of corporations. Okay, these are examples. McDonald's, AT&T. Okay, there are pros and cons. You see, there are pros and cons. What are the benefits of having MNCs? There are pros and cons. Okay, again, here, you know, the perspectives, mercantilist, right, liberal perspective that come into play here, right? Mercantilist view on FDI, MNCs, and liberals' view on MNCs, they differ, right? Role of MNCs and FDI. Let me ask you, are MNCs increasingly more powerful or less powerful over time? More powerful, okay? Increasingly more powerful over time. The power of MNCs, okay, the power of MNCs illustrated in dollar terms usually, the power of MNCs and the power of major countries, okay? Who are stronger? In dollar terms, major countries are stronger, right? They don't rival the major countries, but the power of MNCs and some smaller developing poor states who are stronger, MNCs are stronger than some smaller developing countries. Okay, foreign direct investment, FDI. Okay, MNCs sometimes own capital, okay, in those countries. Like for instance, US, German MNCs own some of the capital in Japan or the other way around. Now, FDI takes two forms. There are two kinds of FDIs. Okay, there are two kinds of FDIs. When FDI involves tangible goods such as factories and office buildings, okay, and these types of foreign direct investment is one kind. Okay. Second type of foreign direct investment is portfolio investment. Portfolio investment. It's frozen again. Portfolio investment. Portfolio investment doesn't involve factories and office buildings. Portfolio investment is an investment made into stock markets, capital markets. Okay? Which is better for host country? Foreign direct investment is better, or portfolio investment is better? Portfolio investment is usually short term. Okay, it doesn't leave anything, right? It's an investment on paper, right? Usually short term, doesn't create jobs, right? Whereas FDI is long-term investment, right? And create jobs. Now, host government and home government relations, the last section. Host government, home government relations. Host country, home country relations. A state in which a foreign MNC operates is called the host country. Okay, the host country. The state where the MNC has its headquarters is called home country. Problem is, MNC operations create both problems and opportunities for both host and home countries. Okay? So this section lists several potential conflicts between MNCs and host governments. Okay, potential conflicts. Conflict can occur between MNC and host country regarding, first, distribution of wealth. Distribution of wealth. Second, sometimes host government nationalizes the industry. Okay, that could create conflict between MNC and host government. This happens a lot, particularly in oil and gas producing countries. Right? To attract foreign investment, oil and gas producing countries, they first provide very favorable business conditions. Once they come in, they change the business plan overnight, then nationalize the oil and gas industry. Okay, expel these foreign investors. So that's one of the best examples of potential conflicts between MNC and the host government. And sometimes host government changes trade policies, trade regulations, or taxation policies, right? Things like that. Or monetary policy. These are all potential conflicts between MNC and host government. So the rest of it, just to make sure that read the rest of lines. Integration, economic integration. A lot of information here. European integration. The history of European Union, right? Topsy-turvy history of European Union, right? There are successes, failures, there's disintegration, but at the same time integration. Both trends go at the same time, right? Now, the first question we have to ask about European integration, first we have to ask why we study the European Union when we study international relations, right? Question is this, go back to our very early chapters, realism, liberalism, right? Principles of realism. This question directly contradict some of the realist assumptions. Why states cooperate in order to create international organizations that are supranational, right? This question. European Union is made possible because some of the states, member states, they gave up on their sovereign rights, right? So question, this innate instincts of states, sovereignty. How come European states, they gave up on these sovereign rights? Why did they or are still trying to create this supranational body called European Union? That's the question. What drives them to seek this supranational integration? Right? We need some kind of a conceptual guideposts, right? We need some conceptual understanding of why states do that, right? So here, there are many examples of states uniting under some supranational integration. United Nations, one example, but very much limited version, right? European Union, this textbook says, is the best successful example of integration. That's why I study European Union. Asia, on the other hand, is hugely failing so far. There must be some reason, the discrepancy between Asia and the European Union, right? We need to study that. Again, there are some conflicts with nationalism. There is always conflict between nationalism versus supranationalism, right? In European Union. So one of the reasons transnational actors are important, MNCs are important, NGOs, their roles are important. But most important driving force behind the supranational integration in the European context is this. Okay? There are many transnational issues that force these states to work together because they cannot be solved by a single state on its own. This is the most important driving force behind supranational integration in the European context. So here are some theories. According to some theories, let's define first integration, international integration first, definition. International integration is a process, here's the definition, it's a process by which supranational institutions replace national ones. This is the definition. So here is it. The process, the definition of international integration, the process by which supranational institutions replace national ones. So either this, right? Shifting of sovereignty from state to regional or global units, or this, okay? So merge of several states into a single state, right? Or ultimately into a single world government. But in practice, right? Always in this book, in the whole book, this is what we get at the end. At the end of the day, always there are limits. There are limits to liberal vision. There are limits to integration, right? Again, same thing. There are limits to international integration, okay? There is no perfect integration, right? Only there is a partial and uneasy sharing of power, okay, between national governments and supranational governments. I think this represents the state of European Union today, still, right? European Union today is not 100% merger of different states, right? It's a partial, still uneasy sharing, okay, of national powers, between national powers and the supranational unit. Now, because of these issues, right, we learn this. So, European Union is the most successful example in terms of right, delegation of power to the supranational body. Probably Asia is least successful area in terms of integration. So you get that? Now, next. Functionalism. There are two kinds of theories. We have academic theories that explain why and how integration occurs. There are two theories. Functionalism on one hand, and neo-functionalism on the other. Okay, functionalism and neo-functionalism. What functionalism say about how and why integration occurs? Functionalism is an interesting assumption, because what it says is that integration occur, according to the previous slide, integration occurs because states need them, right? There are issues that they want to resolve, right? The issues that they want to work together with other countries, right? But these issues, according to functionalism, these issues are not that highly difficult issues. These issues are just functional issues, technical issues. That's how integration occurs. It's not, integration doesn't begin with highly political issues like North Korea, South Korea reunification, okay? Or political integration, or banking integration. That's not how integration begins. That's not where integration begins. Integration begins, like for instance, people feel uncomfortable in moving their letters across the border. Moving their letter from country A to country B. Okay? They want to have it more efficient way. That's the beginning of integration. Very functional, very life-related issues. Okay? That's functionalism. This is what functionalism argues. Right? The growth of specialized technical organizations. This is how integration begins. Specialized technical areas. Okay? This is how EU actually began, the European Union. It began with very small issues, life-related issues. So, right, they wanted to have get some technical hurdles away. That's functionalism. So they need supranational bodies, supranational units to resolve these practical issues. To resolve these practical issues, such as delivering mail from one country to another. Right? This is functionalism. On the other hand, scholars over time began to also realize this is not all. Okay, in the beginning, this is how integration begins, but when integration deepens, we need another theory. Okay, different types of theory, which are neo-functionalism. Neo-functionalism. What neo-functionalism argues is once specialized cooperation is created, okay, and it moves on to include other, higher political issues. That's what neo-functionalism argues. So they modify functional theory. Right? Some IR scholars modify functional theories to include that economic integration generates a political dynamic. Okay? Once you get the economic job done, okay, then you move to another stage, more difficult stage, more difficult, complex integration agenda will come up, right? That's what neo-functionalist scholars argue, right? Then integration driven further. What is this called? What is this process called? Like, for instance, a move from economic integration, economic or lower level of integration, to higher political stage of integration. What is this transition called? Spillover. Spillover. This is called spillover. Spillover process. spillover. This is called spillover. And once you get the political integration done, then what's the next step? Political integration done, then the next step is community building. Community building, sense of community, right? Identity building, sense of community. That's the next step. Sense of community, identity building. Okay? So I showed you the stages of different integration and theories that explain these different stages of integration. Functionalism, neo-functionalism. Again, integration comes with disintegration trends at the same time. Right? Some people oppose to integration because of these reasons. There are costs. There are costs to integration. Borders are open. Right? Centralized bureaucracy in Brussels, in the European context. They don't like it. They don't like bureaucrats. That's how they call bureaucrats, right? So this brings disintegration trends. Now, then get to applying these theories. Applying these theories, let's look more specifically at how the European Union began, evolved, right? And continue today. European Union. The European Union, which is a supranational body out of different European countries today, was created after World War II and has developed since. So that created after World War II. There's several stages, right? The European Union has gone through several waves of integration. There are different stages, right? Different stages. So we need to, over the last 50 years, that there are different stages. So we need to identify what are these different stages, okay? And over time, membership expanded. With membership expansion, problems expanded, right? Problems expanded. So we need to look into all of these. Currently, the European Union size, population 500 million. 500 million. In terms of GDP size, almost equal to the United States. 500 million citizens, almost equal to the US economy. Now, in terms of different waves of integration, I think I want to emphasize the European Union began as we discussed, began as a functional supranational body in the very beginning, under different name, ECSC. That's the first step, first stage. Began as a functional supranational body, okay, that integrates coal and steel industry. Okay, ECSC. That's how it was called. ECS. That's the first wave of integration. ECSC in the very beginning. Okay, very technical area. They began in the very technical area. Steel and coal integration. Right? And technical experts were the leaders in the integration process, not politicians. politicians were not active in the initial integration stage. Those who were active, those who were leading this integration in the first beginning, the first stage was technical experts, engineers, okay, engineers who getting their hands dirty, okay, not politicians. Engineers were the leaders. First stage, ECSC, okay. So that's the first step. Then second step, European Union evolved into, after ECSC, it evolved into Rome Treaty. Rome Treaty, which is a very important treaty. There are several treaties. The Treaty of Rome in the 50s, that's the second step. The Treaty of Rome. Okay, the Treaty of Rome. Under the Treaty of Rome, EU came into being as a common market. As a common market under the Treaty of Rome. It's very important. Common market. Okay? In the 50s. Common market. And there are several stages of integration in terms of, I explained this last week. When countries merge into a supranational body, there are they do it in some order. First, they form free trade area, right? They sign some free trade agreement, FTA, things like that. Free trade area, right? Then customs union. Do you remember that? Free trade, customs union, common market. This is the stages of, higher integration. Free trade area, customs union, common market. Okay? You need to know the differences. You need to know the differences. Free trade area, easiest one. Right? Easiest one. Customs union, a little bit more difficult. Okay? Common market, higher level of integration. Common market, unlike customs union, common market requires the mobility of labor. Okay? Mobility of labor. And after common market, you get into economic and military union. Union. That's the next step. Okay? So all this was achieved under the Treaty of Rome in the 50s, the Treaty of Rome. Okay? After that, the Treaty of Maastricht, 1992, that's the third step. Maastricht Treaty, the stage of Maastricht Treaty. Maastricht Treaty, even higher level of integration, right? Political, military integration, Maastricht Treaty. Okay. Take a short break, then continue. So functionalism in the European context, this is how functionalism played out. As I explained, in the beginning, 1950, after World War II, France and Germany, okay, two arch rivals, they found some need to cooperate on steel and coal industries. Okay, this is the very beginning of functional integration. So France, Germany first merged steel and coal industry. Then how many more countries joined after France, Germany? 4 more countries joined. Who are these 4 more countries? France, Germany, then Italy. Italy joined. Then the three more countries are Benelux countries. They combine to form this ECSC, right? Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg, right? So Italy, Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. These 6 states form ECSC, European Coal and Steel Community. So the idea is to reduce trade barriers in coal and steel trade, right? And coordinate steel and coal policies among these 6 different states. Let me ask some questions. Very difficult question. I'm going to ask a very difficult question. Very difficult one. So far I've asked always easy ones, but this time it's going to be very difficult. Very, very difficult. So this ECSC is the beginning stage of, right, European integration. So far functional, right, functional area, coal and steel area, right, coal and steel area. And the countries that join, in the beginning France, Germany, then Italy, then Belgium, Netherlands, Luxembourg. These countries showed initial interest, which is good to know. Good to know. But did you know, a little bit childish. 신훈지? 신훈지. If you read these pages, even at this functional stage, right, there were attempts at a higher level of difficult kind of integration, right? What was it? Even at this functional stage, there were more higher stage kind of integration attempts made. What are these attempts? In other words, my question, put it differently. At this stage, early 50s, European countries, mostly France, Germany, right? They showed economic cooperation, right? They showed interest in, they were interested in economic cooperation, right? But were they also interested in political, military cooperation? Political cooperation or military cooperation, we need to think about it. What are these? Political cooperation, military cooperation, right? Economic cooperation, there are many different kinds. Economic cooperation, it could be trade barrier type of cooperation, right? Or customs type of cooperation, or it could also be like an even deeper type of economic cooperation regarding common market creation, right? Even labor force, capital can move freely. That's an even deeper level of cooperation. Or banking cooperation, even more difficult, right? So political cooperation and military cooperation, even more difficult than economic cooperation. But 신훈지, you don't need to answer. Even at these functional economic stages, there were some attempts made at this political and military cooperation, which is this. These 6 ECSC states, right? These 6 ECSC states, they signed some treaty in 1952, which is to create a European defense community, right? Very premature, right? Which ended up in a failure because French Parliament refused, right? And British also refused to join. So political military cooperation, integration was still very much premature, right? Which is to come much later. Now, 신은지 did a good job. Now, Rome Treaty, the Treaty of Rome. The Treaty of Rome which is signed 1957. Okay, 1957. Under this, there were 2 new organizations that were created. One, European Atomic Energy Community. Okay, so they're trying to expand to include other functional areas, including atomic energy. And this time, European Economic Community, EEC, European Economic Community. Okay, European Economic Community has several components. Okay, one is free trade area. Okay, the lowest level of cooperation, free trade area. Free trade area, what this means is that so lifting of tariffs and restrictions on the movement of goods. Okay, the lowest level of cooperation. And the organization that was created was actually EFTA, European Free Trade Association. This is an extension of free trade area. And even deeper one, customs union. Customs union, like I explained, is one in which participating states adopt a unified set of tariffs, okay, as opposed to any goods that come from outside the free trade area. Okay, so free trade area, customs union, then higher level, even higher level, is common market. Common market, where what is important about common market is, deeper, higher level cooperation where, like I said, labor and capital move freely across borders. That's common market, which requires higher level of coordination among countries. The best example as a common market policy is CAP. I explained that some time ago. CAP, Common Agricultural Policy, is the best example of common market. Okay, kind of a coordinated agricultural policy that levy some unified level of tariffs on agricultural goods that come from outside the European Union. Then the next step is economic and monetary union. Okay, economic and monetary union. So in this one, not simply movement of labor and capital. Economic monetary union means even higher level of coordination, like inflation policy. Okay, it almost becomes like a one unified economy under this scheme. Okay, you have a common inflation policy, common monetary policy, common fiscal policy. Okay, this is economic and monetary union. And ultimately, single currency will replace different national currencies, right? Different national currencies. I mean, this was already planned. What I mean is that this was already planned under the Treaty of Rome, right? When this really came true, when did this really come true? 1992, under the Maastricht Treaty. Took some time, right, for this to come true. But this was planned already under the Treaty of Rome. And it came true much later, 1992, under another treaty, under the Maastricht Treaty, right? Whereby monetary union was really created, right? Since then, 1992. Then more members are added. This time, poor countries. Okay, more members added to the original 6 members, right? Including Greece, Portugal, Spain. Okay, although this inclusion of these poorer members will create some kind of difficulties over time. Now, then talk about structure of the European Union. Structure of the European Union. We are here at page 360. Page 360. Structure of the European Union. Like the structure of the European, structure of the United Nations. It has some, right? Like a congressional type of body, executive body, then you have judiciary branch. They all have this. So we need to study what are these. Structure. Probably best to look at figure 10.1. There's a figure, page 361, figure 10.1. That shows the entire structure. First, talk about executive body, executive section of the European Union, right? What is the organization called that manages all the admin work of the European Union? The admin body of the European Union is the European Commission, right? The admin body is called European Commission, sorry. European Commission. They have a huge staff of 24,000 of staff members, and headquarters are in Brussels, in Belgium, and Commission itself, European Commission as the admin body, Commission itself has 27 members, 27 commissioners, right? 27 commissioners, which represent each member state, 27 from each member state. That's how 27 came up, right? And 4-year term, 27 members from each country, rotated on 4-year terms, right? Each commissioner. Their role, this commissioner's role, is to manage day-to-day operation of the EU. Okay. And they don't have, these commissioners, this is important, these commissioners, they don't have autonomous power. Okay? They are not that powerful. These commissioners, not that powerful. Because there is a higher level of body these commissioners are accountable for, responsible for. Okay? So these commissioners, they report to the Council of Ministers. Okay? They report to the Council of Ministers, higher body, Council of Ministers. Okay? So these commissioners, European Commission lacks autonomous power. Okay? They just implement directions from commissioners, the Ministry of, the Council of Ministers. Here is the map, right, which shows you have European Commission, 27 different individual commissioners. Then under that you have staff, right, 24,000 staff. Then these commissioners, European commissioners, they elect president, okay? But as a whole, they report to the Council of the European Union, okay? They report to the Council of the European Union. Again, 27 ministers, okay? 27 foreign ministers from each member state. Then they also report to 27 different leaders, which is European Council. Okay? This is the basic structure, admin structure of the European Union. Okay, Council of the European Union. Council of the European Union, that one, is the meeting of the relevant ministers of each member state. Okay. Each member state. So ministers from different countries, they meet again, they gather again, right? And voting system is based on consensus vote on major policy issues, consensus vote. The legislative branch, let's shift to legislative branch. European Parliament. is European Parliament true legislative body passing laws for all of Europe? Yes or no? No. Okay? Because the European Parliament is, according to this textbook, falls somewhat short of a true legislature. Okay? Because at the moment, it operates partly as a watchdog over the Commission. Okay, watchdog over the Commission. Like, okay, there are some power to legislate, but their main role is to approve the Commission's budget, okay? And this is important. They share power with the Commission. This is called co-decision procedure. Okay, co-decision procedure. And the more recent treaties are designed to strengthen this function, co-decision procedure. Okay, sharing power between European Parliament and the Commission, which is co-decision procedure. This is even more strengthened in recent treaties. Then court. How about court? European Court of Justice. This is an interesting one. European Court of Justice. And this textbook elaborates a little bit on the European Court of Justice, saying that European Court of Justice, unlike the World Court, has actively established its jurisdiction on many issues around Europe. It doesn't serve merely as a mechanism of international mediation, okay? Because the European Court can overrule national laws. This is what distinguishes the European Court from the World Court. European Court can overrule the national laws when EU laws and national laws come into conflict. Okay? EU laws overrule the national laws. Okay? So they have substantial power. European Court has substantive power. So this is the uniqueness of European Court. Okay? Among all other international courts, this is the uniqueness of the European Court. And who can bring cases? Who can bring cases? Individuals, governments, okay? Anyone. Both individuals and governments can bring cases. And this is important. The uniqueness of the European Court. Now, then the Maastricht Treaty. Let's shift to the Maastricht Treaty. So the European Union entered another stage with the signing of the Maastricht Treaty. In the meantime, under the Maastricht Treaty, EC, European Community, is renamed, right? Is renamed the current name, which is the European Union. So European Union, the name originated in the Maastricht Treaty. Before that, European Community. So European Union originated in the Maastricht Treaty. There were three important decisions made. Not decisions, important stipulations in the Maastricht Treaty. In terms of strengthening, deepening integration, there were three important stipulations in the Maastricht Treaty. These are three important ones. Monetary union. Okay, integration includes monetary union now. Very difficult stage. They are entering very difficult stage, monetary union. Now, political union, which is political union mostly means this: justice and home affairs. Integration of justice and home affairs. Okay? Justice means that you bring criminals from country A, bring them here, right? The European court, right? You give down decisions. That's justice unification, the justice integration. And other home affairs. Home affairs may be meaning labor policy, right? There's a unified labor policy, unified immigration policy, unified maybe gender and different social issues. That's home affairs. So under the Maastricht Treaty, European countries are attempting to integrate these kinds of political, social issues under one frame, which is highly controversial. Highly controversial. Much more difficult than economic, much more difficult than banking, monetary integration. And finally, political military integration. Military integration, this is important. Military integration means you bring different armies in different countries under one command, unified command. So you have a unified military policy under one roof, unified military and foreign policy. Again, which is very much subject to controversy, a lot of controversy, right? Because different countries must have different foreign policy orientations, right? But now they are asking different governments to align different national interests in foreign policy, right? And even more difficult, military policy, military goal. Right? Different countries have different enemies, right? But this time they're asking to have a, single unified enemy, right? So these are three important elements in the Maastricht Treaty. Again, controversy. There's a controversy. Follow. The ratification process complicated and slow, right? And like I said, military integration more problematic than others. And this is a typical struggle between nationalism and supranationalism here. Replayed. So, one by one, monetary union first, right? Then how monetary union proceeded. This is how monetary union proceeded first. As implementation of this Maastricht Treaty, right? The euro is introduced. The euro. As a common currency, the euro is introduced and replaced national currencies in 16 different countries. 16 different countries, which is as mandated in the Treaty of Maastricht. Right? 16 different countries. Okay. It began to circulate 2002, right? And national currency ceased to exist. But the difficulty is that different economies have different, in different conditions, different inflation policy. Right? Some economies are targeting growth rather than stability. Right? So you set different levels of inflation rate, discount rate, as you learn, discount rate. Right? So when you have this different monetary policies, right? Could be a problem. Could be a problem. Right. And some economies are deficit economies, right? So some economies were rejected, right? In the first place. And Britain, Denmark, Sweden, they decided to retain their own national currency. Right? Britain, Denmark, Sweden. Okay, can we continue on Friday? We'll continue on Friday. And Friday, go ahead and read the article that I gave you through Lee Kyung-hwa, Asian Integration. Okay? Then Tuesday, next Tuesday, quiz number 3. Next Tuesday, quiz number 3, chapter 7, 8, 9. Chapter 7, 8, 9, 2 o'clock here. Next Tuesday.